Joined now by a very, very special guest.
I don't know how special, Andy.
The man who created a night of dining that ended with Brock Heward downing short ribs, looking at me going, what, you're not hungry anymore?
That is a more significant and recalled moment. By the way, I'm Joe Tessitore.
This is Joe Tessitore.
Can't tell by the voice.
This is how bad I'm at this.
Yeah.
I forgot to introduce Joe Tessitore.
Okay. But this is, I will say this. So we had an all-time, many years ago, we had some of my closest college football friends. I invited everybody to Connecticut for an all-time, we're going to have an Italian feast. And that moment, I feel, in your career, both as an athlete that you were and as a media professional, stands out more in defeat than anything that happened when you're getting your ass kicked as a walk-on offensive lineman at Florida.
Listen.
Than anything that happened in your professional career. That defeat to Brock Heward.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a couple things.
You were number 2 in the entire thing.
Couple things you need to know that people need to understand about human beings and athletes. It's not the bigger guys who can eat the most.
Oh, I know that. Oh, yeah.
It is the 6'5",
the
lanky, raw-boned quarterback. That is the guy who has a hollow leg.
He does. And he burns the fuel quickly.
But the strategy was off on my part.
You went heavy on the arancini.
The arancini, but it is the sauce that your brother-in-law puts on the arancini.
Dalton Velez, Lou Dahl's restaurant, North Haven, Connecticut.
Oh, man, I still have dreams about that.
It's good now.
Unbelievable.
It's good. He's excellent.
I know you dream of coming to SEC Media Days.
I love SEC
talking
Media
to
Days.
the glitterati of the SEC.
You know, it's so funny because you and I have been doing this for way too many years.
Yes.
When our restaurant choices were the perimeter of a mall parking lot in Hoover,
exactly.
Alabama.
Welcome, media fans.
Exactly. So what I like about SEC Media Days is the whole thing, and it's the overused moniker, it's the unofficial start. But it really is, because what it is it's all college football fans pausing and saying, oh, I can see it. I can see the starting gate. So if we can see the starting gate, we're allowed, and now it's on, and we can just start,
it's hard.
and we can talk, and here we go. And
it's
predictions.
Hard for me, Joe, because we get in full gear here.
Totally.
We are all
it's
in.
on. Like now, starting Monday, I work now through January 9th.
But we still have to get through camp.
Correct.
The games really aren't for another 6 weeks.
No, I know, but it's like I'm all the way in now.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's no turning back now.
So of the folks, we're 3 days in, so you haven't gotten to see everybody yet. But of the folks you've talked to here at SEC, who are you most impressed by?
So I always think there are winners, and I don't want to say losers of SEC Media Days, but there are winners of SEC Media Days. And when I sit back, I think that Coach Saban, and spending some time with him, we both had a bit of a private time with him this morning, and I think he likes the fact that it's Kirby and Georgia, where the rat poison isn't. He's not curbing rat poison, assuaging hype. I think he's so much more comfortable in that role than he is in what would be the Kirby role.
I said this on the show previously. Nick Saban with a problem to solve is the most dangerous Nick Saban.
Yes, so he's very comfortable. I think there are programs that have clear momentum and like where things are headed. I know what happened last year with Texas A&M and all the hype because of the signing class. Listen, take away some of the doubts about, what happened last year and this stuff with the play calling. Just start looking through the roster. Right. There are few rosters you're trading. There are few you're trading for outside that roster.
That's the thing that comes back to me with A&M, because I do feel under Alabama and LSU that there's a big group of that group of 5 other SEC West teams. All their games feel like coin flips, only because A&M hasn't proven that it can win the games it should.
Right.
But of those 5, A&M's the only one where I'd say I can see them beating Alabama. I can see them beating LSU. I can see them giving Georgia a good game.
Even with all the chaos and issues of last year, they were still 2 yards away.
Absolutely.
But just look at I always look at levels, right? Yeah. So just go through position groups and look at different levels, and you tell me where you see the weakness. Because I love Wigman.
If they have some offensive line injuries, I think that's
what happened last
season. That's what happened last year.
They are seemingly going in healthy, and they have more depth. Yeah. And now you get another year, and Steve is in there, who obviously you're familiar with because of Florida, and I'm familiar with because he coached my son.
Steve Adazio, looking for dudes.
He's a phenomenal offensive line coach. In terms of development of an individual player, he's a phenomenal offensive line coach. The fact it's Adazio, Petrino, Jimbo as your 3 people handling an offense, I'll take that.
And that's the thing. Jimbo, I think, is just a Jimbo quirk that he doesn't want to just say Bobby Petrino's calling the plays.
Because he is.
Right, because he is. But whatever you think of Bobby Petrino, there's not a single person in the world who won't say that guy's a great plate caller.
Please, yeah.
So
not even a question. Listen, they may not have a record that you sit there and say, oh, was that great of a year? They're going to be a very good football team.
Right. And that's what I keep coming back to.
They're going to be a very good football team.
They probably should have beaten Alabama last year, did beat LSU last year.
When LSU was LSU.
And we're thinking this is going to be a disaster because, yes, we saw the other games too. But no, I think they have the chance to outperform their expectations probably more than anybody else in the league.
Absolutely, they do. And the hype that was placed on them last year should actually have been on layaway for 1 year.
The other thing I'm excited to see is Hugh Freeze at Auburn.
Oh, I trust him.
Right. We've seen him do this at Mississippi State,
where
he took a roster I think that was probably worse than what he's inheriting this year.
At
and
Ole
there
Miss,
was at Ole Miss, yeah. And there's no transfer portal back then.
Right.
He just had to, he got Bo Wallace.
So now you get a quicker turnaround
guy, right?
He has
quicker turnaround on the roster, and it was scaring people his first year there, and then started beating people.
That's right. Yes, and listen. I think if it's the Peyton Thorne that he expects to have, and they got big bodies now at receiver and at tight end, the kid from FIU coming in. What they have at running back. They're going to patchwork the offensive line together, so there's going to be some continuity stuff. The roster's instantly better.
Yeah.
Montgomery is a very good offensive coordinator.
Yes.
So I like what they're going to be on offense. We'll see how they develop on defense. They'll get somebody.
And listen, Joe, you go everywhere. So let's not limit this to the SEC.
Yeah, whatever you want, man.
What players are you most excited to see again in person this year?
Well, interesting. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about the SEC, but the first player that comes to mind is Mason Smith at LSU.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Mason Smith was set to be the breakout player in the SEC last year. Defensive tackle, LSU, 6'6", 315 pounds.
Hurt in the Florida State game.
I was calling the game.
Yeah.
The fifth play of the game. I'm calling the game, and he's out for the year now. If you told me they would go on to win the SEC West after that, are you crazy?
Right.
I think he could be a guy that by the end of the year we're saying they got the most destructive interior defensive.
I forgot you had a run of LSU games last season.
Greg McElroy and I did LSU last year every other week.
Yeah, you basically saw the evolution of LSU.
6 times.
Yeah.
We broadcast them every other week. So from the Florida State high drama loss through the A&M, the high water mark of the game at Florida, which was Jaden Daniels' real breakout. Now, okay, wow, he's the 6 touchdown game. We had the near loss at Arkansas where Harold Perkins single-handedly won the game.
That's what I was about to say.
Single-handedly.
Because Harold Perkins might be the guy I'm most excited to watch play.
Yes, but I don't think Harold. Okay, so Harold Perkins last year was see-ball, run-to-ball.
Right.
Just go out in the field and be an athlete and just be athletically superior to everybody. Now he's going to play within the constraints of the Madhouse defense. I think his stats will actually not be as good this year, but he'll be a better overall football player.
I'm wondering if he can be. Do you think back to 2011? Tyrann Mathieu, obviously a different position,
more
different type of player, but a bigger version of that kind of stat stuffing. Not necessarily a giant tackle stat number or tackles for loss, but one of those guys who maybe he's got 6 tackles, a tackle for loss, a forced fumble,
but
a fumble
last year,
recovery.
like the 4-sack, 3 forced fumble, like that's all the stuff where it's just he's off the edge, he's in space, and he's going to get wherever the ball is. So here's the evolution that he reminds me of. When Boston College had, and I play a mentorship role at that program and on the board of regents. So
they've had a couple good linebackers.
Well, there was a year where we had Mark Herzlich, who was going to be a top 10 pick, and then we had a freshman by the name of Luke Kuechly, who was pretty good. Well, that was the year that Herzlich, unfortunately, was dealing with Ewing sarcoma and had cancer. And I remember, so my wife and I were spending time with Mark off on the side, and I remember Mark saying, "Hey, Tess," he goes, "when this kid, this little pup from Ohio, learns how to actually play the position, he's going to be really good." It was just see-ball, run-to-ball that freshman year.
Right.
Then it's okay, we're going to put him into the scheme of the defense. And, oh, by the way, it was like 150 tackles a year later. He's really, really good. That's Harold Perkins to me. It's the Luke Kuechly evolution.
Wow. And, I mean,
because that's the same thing you'd say about Harold Perkins.
Yes.
Now, they're different in terms of ranginess and body type. But it's he didn't even know what he was doing last year.
Right. And they
Kuechly didn't know what he was doing his freshman year.
LSU, I'm talking about, didn't really know all that they could do with him, and that's
Right.
that's what
like,
makes it
so why
interesting.
try to do more with him? Just let him be. That's what they were doing with Luke Kuechly that year.
Yeah.
It's like, we have the fastest, rangiest linebacker in the
Yeah.
nation. Just let him
Wow. I cannot wait. So, are you and Greg lobbying for a little more variety in the games this year?
Well, strangely, I do like doing LSU. I mean,
well, who
obviously,
doesn't?
You know,
But
I mean,
you
'cause
gain
you're
a lot
gonna
of
eat
weight
really
doing
well.
LSU.
Yeah, you're going to eat really well, and so. I mean, you eat really well wherever you go in the SEC. So.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, this is. I'm excited about this year, and it's weird because I feel like this entire offseason has been a let's get to 2024. Let's talk about USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. Let's talk about Texas and OU in the SEC. Let's talk about the 12-team playoff. But no. They're going to be games this year.
I know.
I want to cherish these first.
I know. This is the last year of what we've known college football to be for so long now.
Yeah.
This is the last year like this. But all the conversations are about fast forwarding to the new era, the new college football player, the divisionless college football, all of that. Thank God I know everybody's losing divisions, but thank God the other conferences have lost their divisions.
Yes.
Oh,
I don't need any more ACC Coastal games. I'm not going to miss the Big Ten West when it goes away. But I will miss the SEC West. I was looking at
the SEC. Yeah, but there was an era because you lived through
right.
it and
The
played
SEC
in it where
East
the
was
SEC
the dominant
East
one.
was there.
Yes.
Like when Florida, Tennessee were Florida and Tennessee at that. Like,
but I was looking at a schedule, and I was looking at Auburn's schedule the other day, and just going, we're never going to see this again. This is just meat grinder division.
It's
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there
You're
will
playing
be,
the West plus Georgia. Yeah.
There will be very difficult SEC schedules going forward as
course.
everybody rotates through.
You know what there will be, Andy?
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation because a lot of people ask me, like, hey, you're one of the few in the room that's you've broadcast at the top level of the NFL and you broadcast at the top level. So, they're asking me a lot of comparison questions of doing NFL playoff games on Monday Night Football and compared to doing SEC on ESPN. And I said, if you really size up the NFL and the SEC, there are a lot of similarities, a lot of differences. But the one thing is when you're programming the NFL or you look at TV schedules in the NFL, you think of these big, bold legacy brands that no matter records, circumstances, that helmet matters on a TV schedule.
The Cowboys and the Giants.
Packers, Cowboys, Giants, Steelers. Like just stay in those
Bears,
Bears. Some Bears typically,
not
no
so
matter
great
what
lately, but
Patriots more recent, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like 4 of those iconic brands and a few on the perimeter. You add Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC. The SEC legitimately has more of those brands than the NFL does. They legitimately, we're talking about 8 of those brands that no matter what the TV program schedule says, it's those.
The helmet
those
schedule
helmets.
that my mom used to magnet up to the fridge is going to look incredible.
Over there. So any Texas combination, it's crazy.
It's very exciting.
Amazing.
But got one more year before they show up. All right, we as we're recording this, we have not seen the results of the media poll. I think LSU is going to get picked to win the West.
Do you really?
I picked Alabama, but I think
that the media.
I think the media here will pick LSU.
What are you going around doing straw polls? What are you doing?
It's a mind meld.
See, I think
I'm listening
to
everybody.
I'm not telling you what I'm picking, but I think it'll be Alabama will get the pick.
Okay.
I think it'll be Bama 1, LSU 2, A&M 3 will be the pick.
The A&M 3, I agree with you on.
Yeah.
I think people are going to pick LSU. And I think Nick Saban's just going to tent his hands and say,
he'll love that.
Good.
He will love that. He will absolutely love that.
Yep. All the Rat Poison going to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Joe Tessitore's going to Baton Rouge.
Hey, they're a better team this year than the team that won the SEC East last year. SEC West last year.
That's exactly right. Joe Tessitore will be in Baton Rouge. He'll be eating well.
I'll be there every other week.
Hopefully I'll be there too.
Pot Rains.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my lunch spot.
I got too many spots. That's the problem.
It's so good.
The Ruffinos, when they have these 64
I struggle with any form of Italian.
I know. I understand.
So I stay away.
Well, and look,
and nothing against them. They
you are in
well,
Louisiana.
They're good.
You need to.
It's 120-year-old Sicilian immigration, though. You know me. I'm a little more current with that.
I understand.
Yeah.
Anybody who will put a 64-ounce steak in front of me,
you're in.
I'm a fan of.
Yeah. What I love about you is that you still eat great and big, but you're in prime shape. I'm ready to bring you on the road to face Tyson Fury.
I'm trying.
It's either Wilder or Fury.
We
for
have
your
a
next
club
fight.
now. Cole Kubelik and I are texting each other, trying to be a support. Cole's how many calories are in this 2 teaspoons of peanut butter
You're not
again.
going that far. Stop that. Just put the good fuel in and keep working out the way you are.
I've been counting calories since September 2021.
Have you? Is
Yes.
that the key for
I'm
you?
never
You
changed.
look
I'm
great.
never
I'm
stopping.
very proud of you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
that's-
and
that-
yeah, because I've heard some of your advertisements on some of your media work. I've known. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep that up, but that's why I can still have those good meals every once in a while.
You come anytime you want. We'll carb you up.
I will be
We'll sauce
brutally
you up.
honest. If I'm at your brother-in-law's place again, I'll say, cheat meal,
That's it.
15,000 calories.
That's it. Your number one meal in the SEC is?
Ooh, okay. In the
Doesn't have to be
footprint,
your upper
does
tier
it have to be an
meal.
Are we talking the
Upper
college
tier.
towns themselves or in the
Yes,
footprint?
college towns themselves.
A
upper tier meal that
a
comes.
rack of Archibald's ribs, Northport, Alabama, suburban Tuscaloosa,
Yeah.
is very hard to beat.
I'm on board.
Breakfast at Mama's Boy in Athens, Georgia.
I'm on board.
Although,
I've had it.
I will tell you, one thing I learned from the Tennessee NCAA investigation, I learned about a lot of good brunch places in Knoxville.
That's good.
Because they took
See,
those
there's
recruits
some
there.
good that comes
so
of it.
Scrambled Jakes. Next time you're in Knoxville, brunch at
See, I'm
Scrambled
usually a
Jakes.
dead-end barbecue guy.
Dead End Barbecue is
With
amazing.
Big George.
So-
George makes me some dead end.
My picture's on the wall there.
There's how much I've worked in the SEC.
Yeah.
I've had so many meals at Dead End Barbecue that George, who owns
Yep.
it and is the cook there, has come to have a great Italian meal. He's traveled with his family to
beautiful.
Connecticut to eat
So
with me.
my picture is on the wall at Dead End
Yeah.
Barbecue because first year of the SEC Network, when you were hosting SEC
Sure,
Nation,
sure, yeah.
and you guys were nice enough to let me do some restaurant segments,
I remember that, yeah.
I featured the pulled pork and mac and cheese sandwich
Very
at
good.
Dead End Barbecue.
Yeah,
which
he
is-
does a nice job.
oh.
He does a nice job with his smoked wings as well.
Oh, I love
his
those.
smoked wings are
you're
very good. Smoked
smoked
wings are
wing-
better than fried wings. I hate
Agreed.
to say that. I
and,
think that
and
bothers me.
highly underrated, just as a form of protein.
I agree.
Barbecue. I'll give you one. We're not at SEC Media Days in Birmingham. We're in Nashville. It's funny because I said, "Oh, I'm at SEC Media Days. I got a spot for you now." And Saw's Soul Kitchen in downtown Birmingham does amazing smoked wings. And then I realized we're in Nashville. This is of no use to you.
Yeah, we'll have to go to Birmingham.
But I'm sure you'll be in Birmingham. So,
I'm there often.
Joe Tessitore, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Always good to visit with you. All right, good.